Pablo Escobar did not pass away without a fight on that peaceful night. The cocaine mogul was killed by Colombian drug agents in December 1993, more than 22 years ago. Nonetheless, as one writer who covered the event recalls, the burial that followed was just as much of a crazy spectacle as the drug lord's life was. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we'll be looking at Pablo Escobar's funeral. What happened that day? Yeah, you heard it right. By the late 1980s, disco was on its way out, while cocaine was becoming increasingly popular. The Washington Post employed Douglas Farah as a staff writer for many years. He had been covering El Salvador, but around the year 1990, he traveled to Colombia because of the rising levels of violence associated with cocaine. He continued to write about cocaine for the subsequent 3 years. Those are the kinds of things that keep Narcos fans up at night dreaming. The most recent series to be made available on Netflix had its story come to a close in the early 1990s, at which time the drug lord was still very much alive. The second season of the show was scheduled to premiere later. Therefore, we do not know how he passed away or what his funeral was like, but Farah remembers. The wake and funeral for the Blow Baron were held on December 3, 1993. It was pouring rain, Farah told the Daily News. Press from all over covered the event, but Farah remembered attending accompanied by a reporter from the Los Angeles Times. We were going through the mourners, and everyone had their umbrellas, and then Escobar's mother spotted us and she screamed, "You killed him." And at that point, everybody turned to look at us, and we tried to leave, and we got pummeled. Even though Farah could have blended in on his own, his friend was very tall and had blonde hair. This made it more difficult for him to do so. He appeared to be of North American descent, which is perhaps why Escobar's mother, Hermelda de los Dolores Gaviria saw them as they neared a wet and treacherous grassy hill. She was a grieving mother, and they always blamed the press for what happened, Farah said. We had made him famous as this bad person, and otherwise, they sort of viewed him as a good person. As the crowd closed in, we were just trying to get the hell off the grassy knoll, he said. Even though Farah was kicked out of the services without any fanfare, his essay was published in the paper the following day. He spoke of the thousands of bereaved admirers who cheered his name at the memorial. These people remembered him not as a terrorist, but as a man who spent millions of dollars creating soccer stadiums and apartments for those who lived in the Medellin slums. One of the men stated, "He built my house around the little chapel. Thousands of people carrying banners and bouquets of flowers crammed themselves in like sardines." In the footage that Farah provided, he described how mourners crowded in so closely that they smashed the window panes in an effort to get a closer look at the casket. Other newspapers of the day published accounts very similar to this one. James Brooke wrote about it for the New York Times, and he added that a raucous mob took the silver casket and carried it to the burial site with such fervor that the drug lord's widow and children were forced to leave. Brooke also mentioned that the raucous mob carried it with such passion that it was brought to the burial site. The anger that Escobar's mother felt was not directed solely at the American journalists. According to what Brooke wrote, she screamed the same insults at the police officers who were attempting to maintain order. Brooke wrote that the wake lasted into the night and featured a mariachi band. The people wept and moaned for what seemed like hours as they praised the deceased drug kingpin as a savior of those who were less fortunate. After 20 years had passed, Farah's recollection isn't dominated by those specifics to the same extent as it formerly was. "I just remember fighting and trying to get the hell out of there," he said. So that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so that you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next video.